Hello and welcome to the harvest season. My name is Al.
And my name is Rochelle.
It is Rochelle.
It is.
And we're here today to talk about farming games or crafting games.
This is the most low energy intro I think we've ever done.
Woo!
Woo! We got this. We could do this. We're awake.
Yeah, we are. Well, welcome, listeners, to this auditory delight. We've got a special treat for you today.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do the usual, what we've been playing, some news, and then today we're going to talk about certainly my favourite game, and that is My Time at Portia. I just can't get enough of My Time at Portia, especially on the Switch.
Sarcasm in your tone, sir.
Look, we all knew that we were going to do this episode one day.
We've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, because I feel like the original, like the PC version, came out like just after our podcast launched.
I think so.
Something like that. So it's been quite a while since it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But you, Rochelle, you had to push for this episode to actually happen.
We'll get there.
Look, this isn't just a podcast about games that we are both incredibly excited about all the time. It's about all farming games and My Time at Portia as well.
Ruthless.
Speaking of My Time at Portia, Rochelle, what have you been playing?
I actually haven't been playing any My Time at Portia. What have I been playing recently? Zombies Run update. Season 8 is over.
Dun dun dun.
And I'm a mess. Good news, the characters I was really worried about didn't die. Bad news, someone else I cared a lot about died. Completely out of left field.
Is it Sam? Is Sam dead?
It's not Sam. If Sam was dead, I would be throwing a fit right now. You don't even... I have so much anxiety over Sweet Cinnamon Roll Sam Yao. Just like every time he's in danger, and I'm like, no, you can't be out here. You need to go... You are the radio princess, and we need to lock you in the comms shack tower, and you need to never, ever leave again. You have... You have to protect him. He's too good. Anyway, so season 8 of Zombies Run is over. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but I don't think we swear on this podcast. Hot baloney. I am an emotional wreck at the end of this season. What else have I been playing? I've been playing a lot of Picross because I like Picross a lot.
Which one?
True story. Okay, true story. Here's something I can talk about. This is exciting. I recently got a Switch Lite.
Ooh.
Like the little handheld one for handheld people. It's yellow.
Which color did you go for?
Yellow, of course, because yellow is my
choice.
color. Thank you. It is the only correct color. That's not true. It's the only correct color for me. It's other people can have other colors. Whatever. It's fine. But I like the Switch Lite a lot. It's very light. It's the perfect size for my hands. It's great. I've been playing the first Switch Picross game. Picross S. True story. I transferred my stuff to the Switch Lite and from my old Switch, and then I was like, oh, Picross, and then I opened Picross and was like, oh, I beat Picross, and then I erased the whole thing and started over, and I have 5 puzzles left, not just of the regular ones. I completed all the regular ones, and now I have 5 puzzles left of the Mega Picross. I am a Picross monster. And I've been playing... Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot. I've been playing Untitled Goose Game.
Ah, yes.
Have you had a chance to play this yet?
I haven't. I've got it.
Oh
I've downloaded
gosh,
it.
Ow.
I feel like it's a game that you can't play without listening to it. So I need to find the time where I can properly devote all of my attention, including my ears, to the game. Most gaming that I do, I don't have the sound on
Okay.
for.
So, first of all, you can definitely play this without the sound.
Well, yeah, of course you can. Of course you can, but it's not the same thing.
Second of all, I need you to play this. Okay, I need you to understand how serious I am in what I'm about to say. Okay? I'm putting on my serious face.
Okay.
You can't see it, but I'm putting on my serious face. I genuinely believe Untitled Goose Game is the best game I've played in a couple years. It is so good.
Fair enough.
Like, I cannot, like, it's just so well made and everything about it is so good. Like, the graphics are so good and the music is so good and it plays so smoothly and it just the puzzles are good. It's not too easy but not too hard, and it's got a great little storyline going through it that you don't expect, but then you get to the end and you realize there's a story. There's been a story the whole time, and it's just like...
So I don't want you to say anything to this, right? But the reason why I didn't get it initially was because it seemed interesting and unique, and I obviously understood what the primary game loop was. You know, you're running around, you're a goose, you're stealing stuff, you're honking, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't really understand from any of the trailers what the secondary game loop was. Like, what was the point of doing all that? So I didn't really bother doing anything else about it, and considering it came out the same day as Zelda, I just kind of ignored it for a while, and then purely because of, you know, you and other people and your enthusiasm for the game, I've decided to, fine, I will take people's word for it. People who I respect really like this game, and obviously there's got to be more to it than just that one small primary game loop, so I'm going to go in and see what it's like. So I don't want you to respond to that. I just wanted to say that I'm interested to see what it's like.
I'm excited for you to play this and tell me all of your thoughts.
On the Goose Game season?
Yes.
Does it count as a farming game?
I don't think I could swing it. I think I could try real hard, but I don't know if I could swing it. There's a gardener who grows vegetables, but you don't do any farming because you're a goose.
Yet.
We're waiting for Untitled Goose Game 2. Untitled Goose Game 2. Forget-Me-Not Valley.
This time it's personal.
Okay. So you need to tell me what you've been playing before I start spoiling all of Untitled Goose Game for you. And like the single spoiler in the game.
Well, last time I was playing Zelda. I have now finished Zelda. So that was good.
How was
fun.
that?
I really enjoyed it, yeah. I never played the original, so everything that is in the game was new to me. Yeah, I enjoyed it. The twisty twist obviously wasn't very much of a twisty twist. They give it away really early on, but they still seem to do this thing at the end where they're like, "Oh, aren't you shocked?" And I'm like, "No, you've been saying that about 10 times up till this point. I don't really know why I was meant to be shocked, but okay." I'm a little bit sad about the ending though. No, not spoilery, but yeah. But no, I enjoyed it. It's good mechanics, good fun, decent amount in it. It's obviously not a very long game, and I think that if I'd bought it digitally and so therefore paid, 50, 60 quid for it, I can't remember how much it was on the eShop, I would have felt like it probably wasn't quite worth that because it's quite a lot of money. But considering I bought it physically and then sold it, I think it was very worth the 15 quid that I ended up paying for it.
Nice. True story. For the record, you're speaking of the new Link's Awakening remake,
Apologies,
right?
yes, that is what I am referring to.
I've never played that one, and I literally don't know what you're talking about with any of the spoiler stuff.
Oh.
So, neat. Was it better or worse than Majora's Mask?
I couldn't possibly tell you. But yeah, good fun game. I enjoyed it. I didn't feel the need to like 100% it or anything like that. Once I'd finished the story, I was like, no, I'm that's enough for me.
In comparison, Untitled Goose Game, I got for 15 buckaroonies. It was well worth that price. It was also a short game, and I've 100%ed it 2.5 times. So
You've got your money's worth from that game.
Uh-huh. That's the better of the 2 games released on that day, I say, as someone who hasn't played the other one.
So I finished that, and I have been inspired to go back to Celeste and try and finish that, because they came out with a new chapter in Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't quite finish the last chapter before this one, so I'm trying to do that, and then I'll get on to the farewell chapter as well. Whether I'll have it done before I buy Doraemon's Story of Seasons is a different question. Probably not. Celeste is a hard game. It takes me a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what I've been playing.
Nice. Video games.
Ooh.
Man, we haven't been playing a lot of farming games recently, have we?
Well, no, but speaking of that, it might all change on Friday.
That's what we're waiting for. We're just saving up all that time for right into the news. Anyway, so Doraemon's Story of Seasons is coming out.
Yeah, finally.
It's already out by the time you are hearing this very high energy podcast.
Are you going to buy it, Rochelle?
Of course I am. I already plugged it into my monthly budget already.
Ah, good.
With what I assume is a very accurate estimation of tax. And by accurate, I mean I added $5, which is extremely inaccurate. It will probably be less than $1 or $2 in tax.
Yeah.
But I always overestimate rather than underestimate so that my bank account doesn't go negative.
I mean, that's always the right way to go.
Yeah. So
When talking about outgoings, not when talking about incoming. That's a whole other issue.
yes.
So my issue with Doraemon's Story of Seasons is apparently Europe's meant to be getting a physical release. I haven't found it. It doesn't seem to exist anywhere.
I'm sorry, man.
I mean, I was looking, if people follow me on Twitter, they will have noticed I was looking for even the digital pre-order, and it didn't exist until I think Monday.
Man.
It existed in America, but I couldn't find it anywhere else, which was really weird. But it is up now, so...
It's just flying really under the radar, I think.
Yeah, I wonder whether it's... So it does feel a little bit weird when they're actually spending the money to get it localized, but then not really putting much effort into advertising it or making it easily available for people. And if they didn't think it was going to make much money outside of Japan, which would be a fair thing to say, I don't think either of us would have been surprised if this had never been localized and only came out in Japan.
I believe one of my first comments when the news of this first came out was, I wonder if we'll even get it. So...
Yeah, so we certainly wouldn't have been surprised if that was the case. But the fact that they are doing it, and the fact that they have said that they're doing a physical release in Europe, means they must think there's some sort of market for it. In which case, why are they making it so difficult to find?
I don't know, man. It's truly a mystery.
It's all very odd. I guess we will find out on Friday.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
You'll have to keep everyone updated.
Oh, I will. Speaking of games that are coming out...
Oh, heck.
We have 2 more release dates for farming games.
We love release dates.
It's going to be a busy few months because on the 17th of October, which will be on the Friday after this episode comes out, Stranded Sails will be released.
That's like 2 Fridays in a row.
It is. Not just that, but it's the second game that will be coming out that day.
Oh my gosh. What else is coming out on the 17th? Which is actually a Thursday, sorry. Which is abbreviated with an R and not a T.
Oh, so it is.
Got you good.
Let me just double check. I have my spreadsheet of upcoming games. Oh, that's Autonauts. Autonauts is coming out then.
Oh, I'm so excited for that one.
Yeah, so the 17th, which you're right is a Thursday, has 2 games coming out, Stranded Sails and Autonauts.
Prime game release day of the week. Thursday.
Perfect.
Abbreviated R.
Why not just TH?
Because that's 2 letters.
Yes, it is.
Everything else is one letter.
Okay. Well, no,
Except for Thursday and Sunday.
Okay.
And that's stupid because there's 2 T's and there's 2 S's. So we're just going to change Thursday to R because it has a Thursday, and Sunday to Sunday to N.
So that's October. Not forgetting that Harvest Moon Mad Dash is also coming out on the 29th. So that's 4 games coming out in the next 3 weeks.
That's too many.
After that, the next game, and at this point, I think our last game that has been officially announced is definitely coming with a release date in this year, although there are 2 that are apparently coming this year but don't have official release dates yet, is Village Monsters is coming out on the 12th of November.
Yay! That's very exciting.
Too many games.
Yeah, that's five days before Pokemon? 3 days before Pokemon?
Yeah, that's too close. I don't think I'll be playing Village Monsters in the first couple of weeks.
I can play it for 2 days before I pick up Pokemon from Target at 7 in the morning, like I always do.
Yeah, I'm very sad because the shop I'm buying it from doesn't open till 9, so I need to wait till lunchtime.
What else have we got news for?
Oh, good question. Forager.
Yeah?
The new update for Forager is coming out in around October. We've not got an exact date. It's in beta testing just now, I think. So it should come out soon. And they have also announced that the appreciation and combat updates will be coming to the Switch soon. So obviously we don't have the first update to Forager on the Switch yet. But they should apparently both come around the same time. It looks like they're porting and testing both of them at the same time, which is good. So hopefully it won't take a huge amount of time. So I've just noticed, as we've been recording, Rochelle, that they've announced the release date for the combat update.
Late breaking edge of their seat news. This is a hot take for us.
This is
so
exciting because normally it happens after we finish recording.
Mm-hmm. When is it? When is this update released?
It is coming out on the 15th of October.
That's so soon.
So that is yesterday if you're listening to this recording on the day it's released.
It's so soon, it's negative time.
It is already out.
Go get it.
That's exciting.
We're great at this.
Yeah. So that's the positive news about Forager.
Mm-hmm.
The less than positive news about Forager is that they have cancelled the Mac and Linux versions.
Well,
a bit sad. I mean, it's not going to make any difference to me personally because I'm just going to play it on the Switch now that it's on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's obviously disappointing for many people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I guess it's also disappointing in general because if it's a sign of any kind of general shift in the games market, that's obviously not a good thing because, you know, we were just talking a couple of weeks ago about Linux support and
how much I like
it's
it.
changed so much. Well, yeah, but how much has changed so much? Like, you know, 6-7 years ago, it just wasn't a thing. There weren't big games on Linux.
Mm-hmm.
They just didn't exist. And, you know, with the advent of Steam being on Linux and then pushing it forward and people starting to port to Mac as well, and then realizing that the amount of work to port from Mac to Linux is much smaller, you know, we were starting to see a good chunk of games actually going on, especially with things like, you know, there's a load of frameworks that people use that make it really easy to port to different operating systems and stuff. So it kind of looked like it was becoming this standard thing to release on all 3 operating systems. And, you know, if this is the start of a trend away from that, I think that's a sad thing. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it turns around, or hopefully if it is issues that developers have with how Apple are treating games developers, then hopefully they listen and make it easier, or explain things in a different way that hopefully makes it more understandable. I don't know, whatever it is that the issues are. Mm-hmm. I've not looked in too much detail about them because, you know, there's enough to know in my area of expertise. Never mind another area.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it goes.
We will. We will. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the updates coming onto the Switch soon. Good fun.
Good fun.
So that's Forager.
Woo!
Speaking of releases.
Updates!
Or something.
Updates.
Updates. So, we previously talked about Stardew Valley being self-published rather than with Chucklefish publishing it.
Mm-hmm.
That was obviously with a couple of caveats on mobile and on Switch. Concerned Ape has now said that they're self-publishing on Switch now as well. So the only one that Chucklefish is publishing is mobile. Which most people would go, oh, well, what does that mean? Does it really matter? Well, there is one thing that it matters, is that there is a higher possibility of a physical release of Stardew Valley now.
Ooh! I could buy it for a third time. Actually, that's not true. It would be the second time I bought it because the first one was a gift from a friend. So I'd only be buying it twice, which is much more reasonable.
That makes it okay. It would be my fourth. Which obviously I'm not going to do. I don't need the physical version. Like, there's literally no reason to do that at all.
But is it the fourth for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. I think...
I've got Switch, PC, and Android.
I have Switch and on the PC. But I don't know. I've been known to buy 2 copies of the same game for the same system, mostly in Animal Crossing. I guess we'll see. I'm excited. I might get it physical. You know how much I love to get physical things so that I can destroy the earth faster. I get rid of the cases and I put them in a little case that I put stickers on that holds like 20 games. Even though, true story, I talk a lot about like really preferring physical copies of games. I only own 5 games physically on the Switch. That's it. And everything else is digital.
Yeah, I have, I think, 13 physical ones, but a lot more digital ones. I think generally I will buy something physically if I'm considering selling it later on.
Mm-hmm.
But then that doesn't explain all the ones that I still have physically, because those 13 are ones that I'm not going to sell.
Sometimes you just end up liking them. Like how we like Stardew Valley. We're a mess. We're a mess today. Oh my gosh. I'm so tired.
So, remember the multiplayer update for Stardew Valley?
Yeah.
It's finally out on PS4.
Nice.
And it's not out on Xbox yet.
That's nice.
Apparently there was an issue with certification for the Xbox release. So that's not happened yet. So if you play Stardew on the PS4, well done. You finally get the 1.3 update that's, 8 months old or something like that. If you are on the Xbox, then you got to wait longer. Sorry.
Should have gotten it on the Switch.
Yeah, Switch got it straight away. In more positive news, we've got some more information about the 1.4 update, which is that it's coming soon.
Soon.
Yep, that's all. We don't know what soon means, but soon is the most information we've had about 1.4. And I think that soon would imply a number of months rather than a number of years.
It'll come soon. I'm not worried about. Soon is soon.
Yeah.
We got a lot of games to play in the meantime. Concerned Ape can take their time.
Yeah. I keep looking over my spreadsheet of upcoming games. If you've not seen it yet, people, I have tweeted a spreadsheet of all the upcoming farming games. And, oh my, there are a lot of them on it.
It is so much.
There are 5 with release dates, official release dates within October and November. And there are 2 that have tentative release dates of this year. Whether they actually come out or is a different question. But yeah, so if they all come out, that's 7 games before the end of the year. And then there are another 3 that will be coming out early next year. And at least 1 more for later in the year. And we're not even into the year yet. So there's a lot to play. So that's all the news.
News.
Woo!
Yay. High energy today.
Whoop whoop.
Now that we've got the fun part out of the way. Are you ready to talk about my time at Portia?
I am ready to talk about your time at Portia.
You're not even going to talk about your time? Just my time?
If it comes up naturally.
All right, I guess we'll see.
I mean, I've talked about my time at Portia quite a lot already, in my opinions. I don't think they've really changed. But yeah, I will fold them in somewhere in this conversation so that it's actually in this episode rather than talking about, oh, you can hear about our opinion on this episode and you can hear Al's opinion on 3 different episodes in the past.
All right, then. Let's talk about Rochelle's time at Portia.
Woo.
My time at Portia is a video game. It came out at the beginning of this year, January 15th. This year right now it's 2019. The 15th of January 2019 is when it was released. It's a game.
Wow, that really was like a week after we launched our podcast.
Yeah. So we have 3 categories of things that we cover in games, right?
Yeah, we do.
We cover the story and the calendar as one thing.
Yep.
Because those are usually the same.
Generally.
We cover characters and we cover mechanics, right?
That's correct. That's how we've mostly done it. It doesn't mean that we're always going to do it that way, but that's how we've mostly done it.
That's how I like to do it. Al, come on. I'm trying to set this up like a proper essay where you do the introduction and then you hit the bullet points you introduced in the introduction and then you do a summary at the end summarizing the bullet points that you did.
I'll just sit in the corner and listen this time.
Okay, good. So my time at Portia, there was a horrible technology apocalypse. The robots destroyed everybody. There's no technology anymore. That's Portia. You start the game by showing up from a faraway land to the town of Portia to be their builder and take over your dad's old workshop. Your dad's not dead in this. Did you know that?
I don't think I saw that.
Well, for starters, as part of the introduction, you do read a letter from your dad.
You think I read that? Come on.
No. You don't read things?
Like you said, you come from another land, and I was like, oh, I wasn't even aware of that. I just assumed I'd always lived there.
Did you read any of the dialogue?
Look, right. So part of the problem is that the point when I care least about a game is when I'm starting it. And so I don't read all the nonsense that's at the beginning, right? Okay? Because I'm like, no, you need to hook me. You need to make me excited about it somehow. And the text is not exciting. So, no, I don't read it.
I mean, you might be more excited if you read the text. Anyway, so yeah, your dad has an old house and workshop in the town of Portia. And you presumably went and traveled elsewhere in the world and then came back just now to take over the workshop and be a builder. So you're the builder. You're a builder. You're not the only builder. There's a lot of builders.
I was just thinking, just what this town needs, another builder.
Another builder. There's 5 builders, including you. That's a lot. But it makes a lot of sense when we get to the characters. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. So the calendar in this is broken up into a classic 4 seasons, 28 days each. Spring, summer, winter, fall. So 4 whole weeks of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, MTWRFSN. So let's go through this calendar real quick. I'm not going to read any birthdays to you this time because it's too much. You'll see why in a minute. So we're just going to hit the highlights. So in the spring, you have a couple of very exciting festivals. You have the fishing day, which is a fishing tournament essentially. And then there is the Day of the Bright Sun, which is this really fun event where they're dropping presents out of an airship and you're running around desperately trying to catch presents. Did you even get to this day in your playthrough, Al?
Look, I didn't even get through 1 week, right?
Okay, so you didn't experience this. It is a chaotic mess, and it is simultaneously fun and frustrating because you're literally like running around trying to pick up presents off the ground, like with all of the other villagers. And oh my gosh, we're going to get there. You're going to see why this is an issue as soon as we get to the next section. Which I've said like 3 times already. Oh my gosh. And then in summer, we have a martial arts tournament, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a martial arts tournament. And then you have the Day of Memories at the end of the month, which kind of plays almost like it's going to be Halloween-y. Like it's going to be, because like it's all about ghosts and stuff. But rather than being about like memories or ghosts or honoring the ancestors, it's very much about running around the town picking up stickers. It's got a little many, and I mean, I think it has a story about like remembering the people who were lost during the apocalypse or whatever. That was a couple of generations before you. So, but mostly you're running around the town doing stickers. Then in fall, we have the land run, which is a horse race. I don't know why they call it a land run. It's a horse race. And then you have an autumn festival, which is your classic fall festival show fair. And then in winter, you have a snowball battle, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a snowball battle.
I mean, why not?
Why not indeed? And then you have the winter solstice, where you make a giant hot pot of curry as a town. Those are your holidays. Very exciting, I'm sure, as you can believe.
Everybody loves festivals.
Everybody loves festivals. There's 8 of them in this game.
That sounds like a good number, because I think that some games can go overboard with the festivals.
Mm-hmm. It's very well spaced. Usually there's one in the first 2 weeks and one near the end of the month. It's great. That's your story, post-apocalypse, taking over. You're a builder, Harry. That's the story. So, our next section is on characters.
Oh boy.
There are so many characters in this. You don't even know. Do you know how many characters are in this, Al? Look at the show notes. I literally wrote it in the show notes.
I'm counting.
Okay.
64.
60.
Oh, you said at the top. I was counting up the section.
Ow. Okay.
Look, I don't read, all right?
You don't read
I was just
anything.
distracted by the fact that this list of names is almost in alphabetical order, but not quite.
There's a reason for that. Anyway, so there's Nintendo 64 characters in this game. There are more marriage candidates in this game than there are entire casts of most other farming games. It's so wild. We're not going to go into detail on these because there's too many. So I'm just going to read these off really quick like. So for marriage candidates, you have Audie, Albert, Alice, Antoine, Arlo, Jingo, Emily, Ginger, Gus, Lucy, May, Mint, Nora, Oaks, Polly, Petra, Phyllis, Remington, Sam, Sonia, Toddy, Shu, Irwa, Liua, Chiwa, Sanwa, Siwa, and Wuwa. That's 28 if you are counting. So they all live in the town of Portia. And you know who else lives in the town of Portia? Ack, Carol, Dana, Dawa, Gail, Higgins, Isaac, Lee, Mars, Martha, McDonald, Merlin, Presley, Russo, Sophie, Yeye, Dolly, Molly, Polly, Jack, Toby, Papa Bear, and QQ. QQ is a very cute little pig. And then you have characters who occasionally visit Portia, like Tuss and Huss, the mysterious man who is like, he comes once a month. He's like an out-of-town salesman, basically. Then you have Musa, Molly, Ryder and 10, Ursula, Penny, and your dad, which you can talk. You could talk to your dad at a certain point if you get that far. Did you know that?
I do now.
Because he's not dead. And spoilers, I guess. Skip slightly ahead if you don't want to hear this. In the end, your dad comes and you have a builder competition and you defeat him and then he leaves. It's real great. He's just like, oh, you're doing fine. I'm going to abandon you again. This is great. And then on top of that, there are 3 pets you can get. You have Pinky, who is a big chonk pink cat. You have Scraps, who's a doggo, and Yo-Yo, who is what would I call Yo-Yo? It looks kind of like
pangolin.
It looks like a sand shrew.
Yo-Yo is a pangolin.
What's a pangolin? Is it a sand shrew? Is that what a sand shrew is based off of?
I mean, a sand shrew is a Pokemon. A pangolin's an actual animal.
Oh, I was right. It's a scaly anteater.
Yeah.
And please tell me that's what sand shrew is based off of.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Well, it says Sandshrew may be based on an armadillo. It also closely resembles a pangolin. So
I'm going to choose to believe. Anyway, so yeah, except that you can only get Yo-Yo if you back them on Kickstarter at the $65 plus tier. So sorry, it's too late. And the reason I include pets in this, like the pets you can get in QQ, who is a tiny pig who is a pet of another villager. And the reason I include them is because the relationship mechanics that goes for all the people also goes for the pets. So you have to like befriend Pinky the same way you would a villager before you can adopt Pinky. So that's why they're included in this. In case anybody was wondering, that's too many characters.
It is a lot of characters. Because we like to let you peek behind the curtain, I was looking through the show notes because obviously, for obvious reasons, Rochelle is doing most of the My Time at Portia stuff and was filling out the show notes, and I was like, oh, she must be filling out the show notes. So I went on and I was just met with this wall of names, and I was like, okay, that's a lot of names. There are too many characters
There
here.
are too many. It's almost stressful. I have a hard time remembering everybody. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm not even going to get into like the relationships of characters and stuff like that. Like there's just so many characters. It's too many. Anyway, so in case anyone was wondering, the first person I married was Nora and the second person I married was May. There you go. I think when I played for a bit on Switch, I was aiming to marry Mint that time, except that I didn't get that far because he doesn't unlock for quite a while. So that's a lot of characters. Speaking of which, let's get into some mechanics, huh?
Because the mechanics are the best part about this game.
I love mechanics.
Yeah.
Speaking of mechanics, speaking of characters, nice. I almost had such a good transition here, and then I wrecked it. Anyway, so the social interaction mechanics of this are really interesting. You can gain friendship with people through like giving gifts and talking to them and doing quests for them, etc., etc. There are a bunch of different things you can do. Like you can play games with people. You can fight them for funsies if you really want to. You can go on dates and play dates where you like agree a day and a time to meet and you go and hang out and do stuff. And there's like half a dozen different activities you can do, ranging from sitting in the town square to shooting off fireworks. And then as you increase your friendship with certain characters, anyone that they're related to, so like their family or their close friends, also get their friendship kind of like secondhand smoke increased as well. Like they get secondhand friendship points, which I thought was really interesting. Like there's a tree of how relationships work, which is cool because like that's kind of like how the world works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're getting to know your friend and maybe you go hang out, and then just because you go hang out at their place sometimes, you end up like talking to their roommates and then you get to know their roommates. That's how friendship works, right? I thought that's really cool. Like that kind of works that way in this game. That is not something you really see in a lot of games.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So I thought that's cool. I just explained it horribly boringly because this is a low energy podcast, but going on from that, I would say that the single biggest mechanic in this game is the crafting. Would you say?
Oh boy.
You're a builder, Harry.
I would definitely agree.
You're a builder, Al.
Apparently so.
So I think that sometime in one previous complaint, we've explained this to the listeners, but basically the way it works is that you have, through a variety of methods, you can gather resources, which you make into things, which you make into other things, which you make into other things, which you make into other things. So, like, if you want to build a bridge, you're going to need some wood, so you're going to have to chop down some trees, but you're also going to need some metal, and to get some metal, you have to go mining for ore, and then you have to build a furnace, and then you have to smelt the ore into bars, and then you have to turn the bars into, like, metal rods, and then you have to put it all together to make the bridge.
Oh, you missed out one level. You have to build the cutter to make the logs from the
Oh, right,
wood.
you're right. You gotta...
It's never ending. It's literally never ending.
Yes, it is very complicated. It kind of cascades like that. And that's kind of like the major mechanic of the game. Like, that's kind of what everything kind of circles around.
Yep.
When it comes to crafting, the crafting is building because you're a builder. That is your title. You're often referred to as the builder, mostly because there's voice acting in this game, and they can't voice act your name for every name ever. So they just pick something like a title to refer to you as, and that's the builder. Which is also a Zombies Run character. We're talking about Portia. So you're a builder. You do like the tutorial, basically showing you the ropes. The story of the tutorial is that you have to earn your builder's license so that you can be a professional builder in the town. Including you, there's 5 builders in the town. And your life mostly revolves around the Commerce Guild, where you go to get commissions for things to build for people. There's like a competition every month where you're competing against the other builders in the town through a point system based on your commissions to see who's the best builder. They also, on the weekends, do this mini game called Inspections, where you go and it's basically a spot the differences game between 2 pictures of the same thing. You know what I'm talking about? The spot the differences games?
Yeah.
Do I need to explain what that is? Do people know what that is?
I think people know what that is. Where there are 2 things and you have to figure out the difference. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah. Look, it's a low energy podcast. That's the sort of crafting. Let's talk about a lot of ways you can get things to craft things. First of all, there's a whole bunch of ruins. So these are like... So there's 2 types of ruins. First is mining ruins, where you go and you mine things out of the earth, like ore and dirt and sometimes ancient relics, like clocks and CDs. Old things from the ancient world.
Now, you know what's... I mean, should you feel worried that this stuff isn't very futuristic from now? So obviously the end of the world was pretty soon.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about the mine, so obviously there wasn't a huge amount that I actually did in Portia because I gave up really quickly. But the mining in the ruins I actually really liked. So the mechanics of that are quite different from most other ones, where, you know, most games where you have a mine, you'd go in and there's like rocks that you break up, and there's very limited. Whereas the way this works is you're basically mining into the floor, and you have like these, is it goggles that you put on, and they kind of show you where things are in the ground, and you mine down to that and dig stuff out the ground. And I actually really quite liked how that worked. You get a jetpack to kind of go up in the air and stuff like that. I actually really liked how that worked. I mean, it wasn't enough to get over the annoyance I had with crafting, but it was a really fun part of the game, actually.
Oh yeah, I love the mining in this game. So like first of all, it's just satisfying to find, like, I don't know, a giant copper deposit and then like mine out a giant hole in the floor. Like, that's just very satisfying. And yeah, the way the scanner works is you can turn on your scanner and it'll show you like little dots of where artifacts are within the dirt, and you can upgrade your goggles. You start being able to target just one, and then you can eventually get to target like 3, I think. Different things at a time, and then it'll tell you the distance, so you can kind of like run towards the target, dig down, and you see how far you're digging down and stuff like that. It's really fun. I like it a lot. My only major complaint is that the way the controls are set up on the Switch make it really hard to mine quickly, because essentially you have to... So you use you stay still while you mine, and then you do, I don't remember which button is the use your tool button on the right. It's one of the letter buttons. And then the right control stick changes where you look. So like you have to do this like really awkward hand positioning of like holding the button down and also using the same joystick directly under the finger, which is holding the button down. Did that make any sense whatsoever?
It did for me, but I've played it, so.
Needless to say, it's very awkward. On the PC, you literally click and move your mouse. That's it. It's much easier. But in general, general complaint about the Switch version is that the controls are very awkward and non-intuitive, and you can't change them. You can't remap them, and that's dumb. That's my bias showing through. You should always be able to remap controls in games.
Always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. It's an accessibility issue that people need to pay more attention to. Anyway, so that's one type of ruin. The other type of ruins are like battle ruins that are kind of like dungeons. So rather than going in and mining for supplies, you're going in and beating up a bunch of monsters because there's a lot of battling in this game. And then you'll get things like drops from monsters, or there's like treasure chests and stuff in them. So those are the two type of ruins, and like they're called ruins because they're ruins of the ancient society. Like one is an ancient sewer plant, etc., etc. So, and then all of those relics that you find while mining, you can put into a museum. You can eventually build a museum and then put relics into it to have a museum of relics. We love museums, right?
Museums are great.
Yes, and that's very fun to do.
Agreed
with myself.
Although I can't say that this one is necessarily fun to do because I didn't do it, obviously.
Yeah, sorry. There's also a bunch of monsters in the world, so monsters drop things that you can use to make things. You can cut down trees, you can fish for things, you can hunt for things in the ruins. That's how you get your supplies to make things for crafting.
As a side note, I always find it really funny when people talk about creatures dropping things, because I just imagine them like walking and then like they just, oh no, I dropped it.
That poor like...
It's like, what careless monsters.
Right? It's like very littering. Quills everywhere.
It's like they're too lazy to pick it up again.
Mm-hmm. I think there's like an interesting mechanic in the economy of this where like stores will, depending on the day, like, how do I word this? If the economy is up, you'll be able to sell for more. And if it's down, you will be able, like, you'll sell for less. So everything has like a base price. And if it's at 103%, you can sell it for 103%. But then also you buy things for 103% that day. So there's kind of a bit of strategy that goes on about like selling when it's high and buying when it's low. Like the stock market.
Sell.
Yeah. Ticker tape. Yelling. White men in suits being horrible people. I think I got it covered, right?
Drugs.
Yes. We did a good job explaining the stock market to our listeners.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I've seen The Wolf of Wall Street.
I haven't. I don't think I
haven't
need
actually.
to.
I just thought it would be funny to say. I have seen the trailer for Wolf of Wall Street and a number of clips.
I have heard at least 3 people reference the Wolf of Wall Street at some point in my life. We got good credibility on this. Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of neat. Like,
yeah,
there's a little bit of variety there.
Yeah, I've heard of that in a couple of other type of games, not farming games, but it's an interesting addition, and I would not complain about that being in other games as well.
Agreed.
And it feels like something that it doesn't have to be, humongously complicated to work quite well. It just adds an extra bit of strategy, right?
Yeah.
Because, the variance doesn't have to be massive for it to make a big difference to you. Mm-hmm. Like, say, you're selling tomatoes and your tomatoes are actually going to cost, 1% more. If you're selling 1,000 of them, that actually adds up to quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite an interesting thing. And then obviously there's the addition of the fact that it affects everything. So it affects stuff you buy as well. So when do you buy? When do you sell? Mm-hmm. I think that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I like it. It also is one of those things that makes it feel a little more real. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very good atmosphere thing.
It'd be interesting. I don't know how long you've played in one save for, does it trend upwards over time?
I did not pay that much attention to it.
Okay.
And I mean, I paid a lot of attention to it, but not in the sense, like, I didn't track anything. I just...
Because I guess obviously in, like, the real world, things have generally, over the last 100 years or so, have generally trended up. Things have generally got more expensive by quite a bit as well. We always talk about things of, you know, in the past, that amount being worth roughly this amount if you take inflation into account. So although it does go down in the short term, over the last 100 years, prices have gone up. And different things will go up different amounts. But it'd be interesting to see whether, like, if you played the game for 20 years, would everything be worth, say, 10% more on average? I don't know. Or whether it's just kind of vaguely varying on a day-by-day basis. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to look into that, but not right now.
Nope.
So you have your little farm. You start off with a little plot of land. You can expand it for monies, which gives you more room to fit more things. You can decorate very, very openly. Like, in your little land, you can put anything anywhere, minding that you also have to put things like furnaces and woodcutters and and all those things you use to make things in crafting.
All the 3,000 things to make things with.
I think there's like 5 or 6 different types of things. You can eventually build a factory and you put all the machines inside of the factory and it will make things automatically. So, like, if you have all the raw materials, it'll make the things to make the things to make the things and then make the final thing and then spit it out for you.
You know, if I could just have that at the beginning of the game, I'd probably play this game more.
Yeah, I think it took me more than a year to build it the first time I played through.
Right.
I think I could have gotten it within the first year if I really knew what I was doing and really focused on it, though.
Yeah.
But that's still rough. So, but you can also do, like, decorations and stuff. And you can also decorate the inside of your farmhouse, which, something to note is that, so when you decorate inside of your house, the things you can put in there often will give you stat boosts up to a certain amount. So it'll, like, give you stats to, something may give you stats to, like, +2 stamina or +3 health or something like that. So I think that's kind of interesting. So it's not just decorating to your tastes. There's, like, you can add an extra layer of strategy of, okay, what can I do to up my skills and up my stats in this? I thought that was really interesting. And decorating your house is pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm always for, like, decorating houses. It's my jam. That's why I like Animal Crossing. Speaking of stats, you have stats because this is a game. So you have your traditional, you have health, which, because you have to have a health bar because you have battles, because you fight monsters. You have stamina. You can't do anything after you run out of stamina every day. You have a whole bunch of skills. You have a whole skill tree, which is things like boosting your stamina or getting twice as much items from foraging or getting extra XP from interacting with human beings. I'm pretty sure it basically falls into 3 categories. One is battling, so that's like the amount of damage you do. One is gathering, so that's like your fishing and your mining and your lumbering and stuff. And then social skills is like how you interact with human beings. And there's a big skill tree, and I don't know if you can max everything out. I think there's a point limit, and you can't max everything out.
As with real life.
Yes. The maximum number of skill points you can get is 98, and the total points of all the skills in the tree is 139. So there is, like, some strategy into what you actually want to do. And of course, it is skill trees, so, like, there's layers, and as you gain skills, it unlocks the ones further down the tier. So, like, you could totally max out, say, your gathering, but then you might not have the skill points to get to the max skills and the bottom skills in the tree of, say, your social stuff. So there's some strategy to that, which is always fun. And now the part that everybody's been sitting around thinking about, because here we're saying we're a farming podcast, right? We do farming games, and we haven't talked about farming at all in this game so far.
No, we have not.
No, we have not. And probably part of the reason for that is that farming's not really a big part of this game, which is interesting because the advertising is very aggressively like, this is a farming game. You know what I mean? Like if you've seen, like, trailers for this game, like, they basically mostly just show the farming. Like, they don't show a whole bunch of stuff like battling and and mining and building and stuff like that. Like they really heavily focus on the farming, but the farming is a very small part of this game. You could almost not farm at all in this game and be fine. So however much farming you want to do is however much farming is in the game. You have both animals and crops in this. For your animals, you have to build and have room on your farm for like a barn or a coop for birds. You have your traditional cow, sheep, chicken, duck that you can get. It's very awkward when you go and buy them and you just put a baby cow in your inventory. And then, like, to put your cow in the barn, you, like, take out the item. But, like, items in this game, you hold them. And so you're just standing there, like, holding over your head a baby cow. It's very awkward.
Like, how would you transport your baby cow if not in your bag? Come on.
It's silly and delightful, and I kind of love it. Like, the baby... And I really do like the baby cows and the baby sheep just look like awkward and silly long limbs that are disproportionate to the bodies. And I'm like, that is actually what a baby cow kind of looks like. I love it. You can also get a horse. You can either rent horses. I think you can eventually own a horse, but mostly in the beginning of the game, you rent a horse. There are llamas. Llamas are actually monsters that you can tame to make llamas.
Let me tell you this, right? 90% of my time in the game has just been walking around the llamas.
Why?
Because they're cool.
Oh, like admiring them. I thought you meant going out of your way to walk around them to avoid them, even though they are peaceful.
No. Walking amongst them. Walking among them. Walking next to them. Walking near them.
Being friends with them. Becoming one of them.
Just loving them. That's all there is to it.
I love the llamas. They're great. You can actually, if you tame one, you can actually ride it around like you would a horse. And they like kind of are like bouncy and they're really cool. But yeah, I like them a lot. There's two kinds of llama. There's the colorful llama and then there's the cotton llama, which the colorful llama is colorful. It's got colorful fur. And then the cotton llama wears sunglasses and is cool. So those are one of my favorite things in this game. So those are your animals. You have to feed them. They poop. And you can collect the poop and use it to make things. For example, you can use it to build planter boxes. So there's no like tilling the ground or anything in this. You build a planter box because you're a builder. You have to build things, right? So you build a planter box and then in each planter box you can plant a thing. There's little ones for crops and big ones for trees, and you can fit one crop or tree into one planter box. So you can have as many as you have room for on your limited farm space. With all of your building machines and also your house and also your coops and your barn, you run out of space so fast. It is kind of stressful. Like, I do not have a nice farm on any of my farms because I want my farms to look pretty and organized, but I don't have the money to expand my farmland, and I just have a whole bunch of things crammed in. Oh, it's stressful. But anyway, so crops. So you plant crops in the boxes. They do have seasons. I'm not going to go over seasons. You can plant 5 types of trees: apple, apricot, cristella, nitra, and zeolora.
Zeraora.
Plant a zeraora tree. Then you have crops, which are bamboo papaya. That's one thing. It's a hybrid bamboo/papaya. Chili peppers, corn balls, which is like corn on the cob, except they're like balls instead of cobs. Cotton, layered carrot, which looks a lot like a turnip, and it's got layers of different shades of green and yellow-green. Lettuce, potato fruit, pumpkins, rainbow flowers, sisal, and the classic wheat.
What a combination of unique and ordinary.
Right? Like you'd think you'd go all in or nothing, but no. They do whatever.
Rainbow flower and bamboo papaya and wheat. I find it really funny reading through the list of trees. It's like apple, apricot, cristella. Oh, wow, oh my. Like, cristella.
Mm-hmm.
I love me a good cristella. It's my Thursday afternoon fruit. It's
beautiful. Nitra, you literally use to make like fireworks and stuff. Mm-hmm. So
don't eat that.
And gun bullets.
Did you say gun bullets?
Yeah, ammo.
As opposed to other types of bullets.
Yeah, like slingshot bullets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. You're selling it.
Oh, we're a hot mess today. You can fertilize your crops to make them grow better. One thing you can do, which I think is neat, is you can essentially automate fertilizing. So you can build like a distribution floor that you can put down, and then you can put down your boxes on top of the floor. And then if you connect it with the floor to a fertilizer tank, it'll fertilize everything automatically. And then you can get the crops, sell them, or make them into things. And that's it. That's the farming in this game. Like, there's no, like, beyond, like, there's, like, an intro quest that teaches you how to make the planter boxes. But beyond that, you just don't have to do it. You only farm in this game if you really want to farm. Like, you have to make a point to do it. Because, like I said, like, very much the main focus of this game is the building and doing commissions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's my time at Portia.
Woo.
We did not cover a terrible lot of this. There is like a broader plot to the game that I'm not going to cover that has to do with finding ancient technologies and the likes.
I don't think we want to give away too much of that. That's fine.
Yeah, because like it's actually interesting. Like I actually really like this game. I would not necessarily play it on Switch because like I said, the Switch port, it's mostly that the loading is a lot better. I did pull it up and play it a little bit since the last update. The loading is a lot better. It's basically exactly as you said last time, Al, where it's like it's rough at the beginning and then it does okay.
They load a lot into memory and it gets better after that.
Yeah. So since that's getting better, my biggest issue is mostly the controls are very awkward. They're not really intuitive and you can't remap them. I hate that you can't remap them. You can, however, fully customize your character, including a variety of skin and hair tones. So you can make a good character that looks as you want them to look, which is wonderful, and we love that in this house.
Yeah.
I would suggest playing this on PC. It plays very well on PC, and it's very, very fun. I've sunk a lot of hours into this game. I am very far from completing it in any sense of the word. Like, I think I've only actually gotten about halfway through the plot line. But if you like the kind of like gathering and making things and not stressing out about the timelines of commissions, unless they have deadlines, which some of them do, this is really fun. I really like this game a lot. As a general game, I would probably give it I actually might give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 8. I like this game a lot. As a farming game in particular, it's not really a very heavily a farming game. Not that I'm going to dock it, because we've covered a number of games that are essentially on par with this when it comes to farming.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's as much a farming game as, say, Forager or Littlewood.
Mm-hmm.
Like the focus isn't the farming, but we're going to shoehorn it in there because you can farm.
Yeah, and I think especially because I would actually put in a major complaint about the way that they advertise this as being a farming game like Stardew Valley, essentially.
Yeah, I think they tried to ride off the coattails of the Stardew Valley hype
Very
a lot,
much so.
I think. And certainly that's kind of what got me hooked into the idea of it. And before I played it, I didn't really get much of how crafting focused it was.
Yes.
Which, I mean, if you enjoy the crafting and you like I almost feel like the crafting is like a puzzle. Because although it does technically explain everything that you need to do, it's not the easiest to see, and so it's almost like, here's the thing you've got to do and here are the things you make up for it, and then you have to figure out where each of these things come from. And so unless you follow it to the letter, it's almost like a puzzle game.
And I will say, this is another note for play it on PC versus Switch, because so the way you build things is you pick a blueprint out of a book that you have. In the Switch version, you open the book and you pick a blueprint and that's it. In the PC version, you can open the book and you can hover over everything in the blueprint that'll show you like, oh, I need 3 copper saws, and you can hover over the copper saws and it tells you what they're made out of and what you need to make that. Which, because of the way the controls were done in the Switch version, you can't do that. So it causes a lot more confusion. Like if I didn't know a lot of this stuff going into the Switch version, it would be really hard and frustrating for me, I think, trying to figure it out because you don't have that easy shortcut like you do in the PC version, which is just another thing that's kind of wonky with the Switch port. The Switch port is wonky, 100%.
Yeah.
But if you like the crafting, and I actually, very specifically, I'm going to suggest if you have a hard time in farming games with knowing or deciding what to do with your time, this actually might be a really fun play for you because it is very goal oriented in the sense that like you constantly have a goal to work towards. There's actually like a mechanic where like you can have a whole bunch of goals and you can select which ones it shows you on your screen. So then it'll show on your screen as you're playing through, like just off to the side, like this is the goal you're working on. This is how many things you need to make. And this is how many you've made so far for this goal. There's a whole bunch from plot line to commissions to character quests and stuff like that. So like if you never quite know what to do and that makes you a bit uncomfortable, try this out because it's very goal oriented. It very much always gives you something to do and shows you how to do it. Not necessarily shows you how to do it, but like tells you what it is you need to do, as opposed to just the free form that a lot of farming games are, which is farm, I don't know, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you have to be into the crafting. It is essentially the main mechanic of the game. That's how you progress the story and things like that. So if you're not into crafting intricate and long detailed things.
I think it's also, I mean, the other thing that there's obviously the long chains that I've talked about that I wasn't a huge fan of. The other thing was actually putting it together, in my opinion. That I don't know whether it's better on PC or not, but the actual crafting feels awkward. So you have, say you've finally got your 5 things that you need to make this. You have to put it in a specific slot in your bag, and then you have to go up to the very, like, it's got this kind of ghost image of the thing you're crafting. You have to walk up and to the right bit that bit's meant to go on, and then highlight the right thing in your bag, and then press the button, and it'll put it in that specific ghost spot.
Yeah, so what it is that you actually have like a literal platform that you build on. So you pick your blueprint and then it'll show you like, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember like the Sims game on the Wii that you're like a little blocky person and you're like building up a little town, and then you have to build things like furniture and stuff by like picking a piece of wood this long and motioning it into position? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
My Sims is the game I'm talking about. It's very much like that, just without the motion control, where you're right, you have to have it in your toolbar to pick it up so you can put it down in the place of the blueprint.
Yeah, so it's not like, say, for example, in Stardew Valley, where you go into your list of things to craft. As long as you've got the right stuff, you press a button and it's crafted. You have to like put stuff specifically in a specific point in space.
I mean, it also has that version of crafting on top of this version of crafting.
What?
Yeah, so you also have a workbench. The workbench is like where you make like little things, like often where you make parts for the bigger things that you're making. So like if you're making a record player, you might make the speaker part of it at your work table, and then you go to your building platform and you put it into the record player. So it's a lot. It's very complicated. It's not Al's jam. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 8 as a general game. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 8 as a farming game. If you focus, I did a lot of farming in this, but I know people who don't farm at all. So,
and I will give it a not applicable out of 8.
And this is not Al's kind of game. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to kind of drag on it too much. Obviously, they do have a lot to answer for the Switch port, but I don't want to drag on it too much personally. It's just not, it never really hooked me. And it's not like so many games I will start and it will take me like a couple of months to actually get hooked on the game. But that's really not it with this one. I just cannot get the crafting aspect of it. Every time I try and build that bridge, it makes me do another thing, and I just go, I thought I had everything crafted, and it's not fun. I don't find it fun. But again, that's just me. It's not a flawed aspect with the game. It's just not my thing. You know, yeah. I wouldn't say that, for example, FIFA is a bad game. I just don't like playing a football game. Mm-hmm. So.
And that's A-okay.
Yeah.
Everybody can like different games, and that's fine.
Definitely. And hey, this podcast wouldn't be interesting if we just liked all the games, would it?
I mean, it might, but it would be unrealistic and we'd probably be lying at some point. I have thoughts and standards and expectations and preferences, like a real human being.
You're a builder, Rochelle.
You're a builder. Okay, I'm going to say this. So, first of all, you have enough characters to spell my whole name in this.
Nice.
As your character name. That is exciting. I usually can't do that. And second of all, like a real human being, you can contact us and talk to us because we're real human beings. You can find the podcast on Twitter at THSpod, or you can email us at harvestseason.club.
You can find me at the Scottbot, Scott with 1 T, on Twitter, and various other places as well, but I think everything's linked from there.
And if you want to talk to me about how many people you would kill for Pinky the cat and try and see if it's more than me, spoiler, it's not, I love Pinky, you can tweet at me at Miss Delaney with 2 L's. And that's it. Oh crap. And until next time, have a good harvest.
Woo.
Woo.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes, including links to things we discussed and transcripts for every episode. Thanks for listening.
We're now going to take 10 minutes to explain what spot the different systems are. So sometimes you might get 2 images or videos or something, and they are generally very similar, almost identical, and they're side by side, so you can see them at the same time. And one of the key points of it is to figure out which parts of one of the images, now bear in mind there are 2 next to each other, what part of one of them is somehow different to the other one. Okay, now obviously you're comparing the same part of each image. You can't say that that part is different from another part of the other one, because that's obvious. It's not just a blank colour. But there will generally be maybe like 10 or 20, I don't know, it depends what you're doing. Very small differences, and it might be things like, for example, this man only has 1 eyebrow. That would be quite a common small difference to note. And okay, I'm done.
Oh my gosh. I was joking.
I know you were joking. I know. You don't think I know that you know that you were joking?
Oh my gosh. If that's not a end of episode blooper, I don't know what is.
It's a very long one.